Good morning and welcome to another Solo Run video on the Retro Brown channel. We are doing a Solo Run today with kickboxing Pokemon Hitmonlee, Hitmonlee, that's the one. We've done runs with all of the other Hitmon evolutions. We've done it with Tyrogue, Hitmonchan, Hitmontop, but Hitmonlee is the very last one to be done on this channel. So let's talk about it. It has a base stat total of 455, and a whopping majority of that is in its attack, which is fantastic. That's what we want, and that is coupled very nicely with a very nice 87 speed stat. Everything else though is kind of on the mediocre to very bad side, especially the special, but we're not going to let that worry us too much. As long as we can hit hard, we can hit fast, we will be perfectly fine in this run. Our rival for today is going to be Punk. Thank you for subscribing and welcome to the channel. I hope you enjoy. So, we start off with two moves. We start off with Double Kick, which is a decent fighting move. I'd say it's better in later generations than it is right now, but yeah, it's a decent fighting move. But we start off with the more crucial Meditate. Now, if you don't know what Meditate does, it's a psychic type move that increases attack. One per turn, like by one stage per turn, and that is going to be incredibly good for this Pokemon. So we'll choose our Hitmonlee, we will give the rival a Charmander as their starter, and we will get on with this run. So starting off with these two moves, honestly, it's going to be really good in this early game, apart from Viridian Forest. Reason for that? Fighting's not very strong against Bug-type Pokemon. I don't really understand why in the logic of it all, but maybe Bug had too many types that were super effective against it, and they decided to make fighting type resistant. I mean, if you're punching a bug, obviously you're going to crush it, aren't you? So it doesn't really make logical sense in my mind, but either way, I'll show you here right now why this is a problem in the early game. Especially just Viridian Forest and the trainers that do have bug-type Pokemon. So we've set up a Meditate and we're doing barely any damage. We get poisoned, of all things as well, meaning we're against the clock. And eventually that poison will take us out. But this fight is possible as long as you don't get poisoned. Just kind of annoying because, well, the poison type also resists fighting, so it's 4 times resistant there. So, let's talk about Brock. With Double Kick as one of our moves and Meditate, this is really doable at this stage. Biggest problem is taking down that Geodude before you get to the Onix. As you can see here, we couldn't set up enough Meditates to do enough damage, so the next time around we're just going to go straight for the Double Kicks and hope that he uses Defense Curl a lot more. We level up and we get 5 more HP to work with, but then the Onix decides he's going to tackle us, meaning we're on 1 HP. After that, he just decides to use Screech, meaning we've got enough to work with to get through this fight. Which is perfect because we want to be getting through this fight with not a problem whatsoever at the lowest level possible. So that means we can now move on to Mount Moon, where we can actually learn the move Mega Punch. Yeah, I found this kind of weird because with a kickboxing Pokemon, you would have thought maybe they wouldn't give us a Mega Punch move. But we can learn it, which gives us a bit more coverage to work with in this early game. Against the Super Nerd in Mount Moon, we set up a couple of Meditates and Mega Punch our way through. The majority of his Pokemon are Poison type, so Double Kick is not the best move here. But once we win, we can pick up the Helix Fossil and move on to Misty. Now, considering Misty does have a Water Psychic type, we can't use Double Kick on that Pokemon. We're going to have to rely on Mega Punch here. Ideally, we need to set up as many Meditates as possible, and then from there, yeah, that's the reason why we can't really do it. Maybe getting up an extra level will help us here. So, if we have better luck against her, we can get up to level 17, we can use Mega Punch after a few Meditates. I keep trying to say Meditite, that is a Gen 3 Pokemon. But even at level 16, it is possible to beat Misty as a Hitmonlee. What's going to be a harder challenge though is actually going to be the rival in this run, more than any of the other gym leaders. Reason for that is his starter Pokemon with Pidgeotto, his lead Pokemon. Once you can get past that Pokemon though, the rest of the fights become generally quite easy. His Charmander can't outspeed us here, so we can take it down quite well. But it's the Pidgeotto right now that is the problem. We need to do something about that. So we're going to go to the SSN, we're going to pick up Body Slam, which is a much more accurate move than Mega Punch. Definitely will be a lot more useful. So we'll pick up Body Slam and try the rival on the SSN. We're going into this fight burned, which isn't the greatest idea when you're a physical attacker, but I didn't have a way to cure burn status without going back to a Pokemon Center. Luckily though, Hitmonlee really came through here. The Charmeleon didn't really use the best attacks, so we actually got enough chances to get through this fight without even taking a loss. That brings us on to Surge. Now, we're still burned here because in Vermilion City you can't get burn heals or full heals. You'd have to go back to the Pokemon Center, and by doing that I'm resetting the dig point. If you don't reset that dig point, you can dig all the way straight back to Cerulean and cut out some time on your run. Unfortunately, we do lose this attempt here, and that was because he used more powerful moves. So if we try this again, hopefully we might get better luck. We won't get hit by Sonic Boom as much, because Sonic Boom will take off a third of our HP. We don't want that. So when we finally take down that Voltorb, we've got a lot more HP to work with for the last two Pokemon. 2 Body Slams would be more than enough, and if he'd gone for Thunderbolt, we probably would have lost there. But Surge, I'm promoting you in this video because you did get beat us first time, and that means we can move back to Cerulean and try it on the Rapping Lass. Now, I don't talk about her in many videos, but she is actually quite a hard trainer sometimes. If you go in with the wrong moveset or the wrong Pokemon, you can get completely walled by the move Wrap, which in Gen 1, if you use Wrap, they can't attack that same turn. They changed that in later generations, but in Gen 1, a lot of Pokemon use the likes of Dragonite in competitive Pokemon to completely wall people from even attacking. And yeah, it was a decent strategy, don't get me wrong, but it was cheesy as hell. Moving on to Lavender Tower, we're going to go against the rival again. Now, here it becomes even more difficult. Pidgeotto, its defences aren't the greatest and Body Slam is perfect here, but he's added 2 new Pokemon to his roster that are going to be a problem. That's going to be Execute and Gyarados. Gyarados is a hard hitter, and at this stage it has Dragon Rage, which will deal more than half my health at this stage. Execute is annoying because, well, it has Barrage, it has Hypnosis, and the AI seems to have better luck with hitting not very accurate moves rather than I do. Either way, we still take quite a comfortable victory, and we can move on to Celadon. Now, there's a couple of routes we can go from here. We can go beat the Rockets, or we can go beat Erica. Ideally, I would say the Rockets will be the quicker way to get through Celadon City. You can pick up the PP ups, and there's one directly in the Rocket hideout just as you go down the stairs, as we will see here. Or not. Either way, we're on to Giovanni, and he is not going to be a problem whatsoever. Double Kick is a great move for his rock types, and pretty much even taking down Rhyhorn, who's got a very good defense stat in just 2 hits. The Kangaskhan is also weak to fighting type moves. It's one of the few instances where a normal type Pokemon will be our opponent. And once we beat Giovanni, we can move on to the next stage, which is going to be Erica. Now, the biggest problem with Erica is going to be her Victory Bell. If she manages to get a Sleep Powder up and then uses Razor Leaf, with our bad special, we will struggle. We really will struggle against it. So we need to make sure that we're faster than it. Going up to level 32, that should be enough to work with, but we will soon find out. Let's challenge Erica and see if we can take a first time win. So Victory Bell is up first, we're going to use Meditate, and Razor Leaf hits us and leaves us with 8 damage. We then get poisoned, and at this point I was just thinking, yeah, I've definitely used the wrong strategies here. We do paralyse the Vileplume, but our Body Slam was not enough to take it out. Let's give us another try though. If we can get that close to beating Vileplume, it proves to me that it is definitely possible. Although the second attempt we get put to sleep, hit with Wrap, and then Razor Leaf, so maybe a third attempt will do this. So we're not even going to try and set up Meditate on the Victory Bell, we're going to set it up on the Tangler. We were very lucky that a Sleep Powder didn't even hit there, or a Razor Leaf, but either way we can fully set up our Meditates to +6 and then sweep through the rest of the Pokemon. That's the optimum strategy that I found after multiple attempts. So that's 4 gym badges down. And where do we go from here? Well, we need to go back to Lavender Tower to open up the game more, and Lavender Tower presents its own problems. Because the majority of Pokemon that you fight are going to be Ghost types, yeah, normal or fighting type moves don't hit Ghosts. So the only move that we had on our roster that could hit them was Seismic Toss, which deals damage based on your level. From there, it made more sense to go over to Saffron and see if we can do any of Silph Core before moving on anywhere else. Usually my strategy for Silph Core, I go to the 10th floor, pick up the items there. I then go to the 5th floor, pick up the card key, which then takes me to a teleporter at the back, and I can go and get my fight against the rival sorted. That is the quickest way I've found through Silph Core, and if you don't even want to pick up the rare candy, the Carbos and Earthquake on floor 10, you can skip that floor completely, go straight to floor 5, then to floor 3, and complete it. You can, if you play it right and you have the right Pokemon, the right setup, I think the quickest I've managed to clear Silph Core on one of my runs was under 2 minutes at 4 times speed, so around about 8 to 10 minutes around abouts, which is pretty quick. Right, let's see how we do against the rival in Silph Core. So he starts off his Pidgeot as per normal, which now has Wing Attack. It gets 2 big Wing Attacks off and we are on the back foot. Execute here is a good Pokemon to set up against because it now has Reflect on its moveset. And that, with the AI being as it is in Gen 1, that is the only move it will now spam. We can take out the Gyarados comfortably with that, but we can't outspeed the Alakazam, which is a problem. We either need to level up a little bit, or we need to fully set up on Meditate. That way, we can outspeed that Alakazam. I tried a number of attempts at this, and it only was possible at level 41, where we fully set up Meditate, that we could actually outspeed that Alakazam. It is ridiculously quick. It's like another Dugtrio, but the Psychic type Dugtrio. It is a massive glass cannon. It hits really hard, it is very fast, but its defences are complete trash. It gets even worse in later generations with the special attack and defense split, because the special attack's very high, its speed's very high, but everything else is quite mediocre. Special defense is quite decent, but yeah, either way. We fight our way through to Giovanni, and from here, it's going to be setting up against the Nidorino. This is pretty much our solid strategy for Hitmonlee here. Once we've set up, we will sweep through his Pokemon. We should really be using Body Slam here instead of Jump Kick, especially against the Poison type Pokemon, as Poison resist fighting. But either way, it's still going to be a very easy fight for us. We don't take barely any damage. We've completed Silph Core and we can move on to the next gym leader. Since we're in Saffron, it is going to be Sabrina, and this is the scariest matchup we have. We need to outspeed and we need to hit hard. It doesn't help Mr. Mime sets up a barrier, but when we get through to the Alakazam, he sets up Reflect of all things twice and then gets paralysed, meaning that the scariest gym leader for our type didn't even do 1 point of damage to us. Which you'd love to see. You'd love to see it. That moves us on to Koga, and to grab our 6th badge. Most of his Pokemon are not going to be a problem whatsoever, but Sludge does hit really hard. So, it really doesn't help as well that we get poisoned, but once we set up a few Meditates, I keep saying Meditates, we only just miss out on the damage range for KOing the Weezing. So we need to set up earlier so we can then sweep and not get hit by Sludge on the muck. So we're just going to go straight into the Meditates. We're up to 3+3, and that can take out Coffin. It can only just not take out a Muck, so we might need one more on the next Coffin coming out. We're missing quite a bit because we've been hit by a few smoke screens. And again, 3 is just not enough to take out a Weezing. Thankfully though, Seismic Toss can give us the win, and we can move on to the next gym. We will go pick up Surf because we need to now swim down to Cinnabar Island. And from here, we'll take on Blaine, the Fire-type Master. Let's see how we do. Now, it's an easy setup against this Pokemon because the Growlithe and the Ponyta both have Agility, and with the AI being how it is, they will only spam Agility because the AI is recognising that's a Psychic-type move, Fighting types are weak to Psychic, therefore that is the optimum move I should be using, but it's actually doing no damage and only increasing stats. But the AI is weird in Gen 1, that gives us enough time to set up our Meditates and sweep through his entire team. Bringing us on to Gym 8, which is, again, a fight with Giovanni. I loved the fact that this was such like a shock to the system in Gen 1. You've gone through the entire game fighting Team Rocket, and then the penultimate time before you even go to the Elite Four to become the champion, you have to face against them again. It was even like hidden the entire way through the game because it was just a silhouette on your trainer badge when you were looking at the badges and who you've actually beaten. Everyone else had a sprite, but he just had a silhouette. We sweep through his team with no problem whatsoever and bring ourselves on to fighting Punk again. This is a very dangerous fight. His Pidgeot is very powerful with wing attack, even though it's a terrible 35 base move. I'm pretty sure his Pidgeot is just stronger than any other Pidgeot that I've seen in these games. Mine were never that strong. And unfortunately this time Execute does take us down. So we need to take the Pidgeot out as quick as possible, and this time he spams Agility, probably because the AI is telling him that that's a super effective move. Against the Rhyhorn, we will now set up our Meditates. This should make sure that we are faster than anything that he has. We just got to make sure we don't level up during the fight, because if you level up after you've badge boost glitched, it resets it apart from the original increases in stats that you've done. So if you've done 6 Meditates, you level up, the 6 Meditates will still be in effect, but everything else that's been increased will not. I've talked through that entire fight there. We take the win and move on to Lorelei, which will strangely be one of the easiest fights we've done. So, the Dugong, if it was just not coded wrong, this Dugong would be unbeatable in certain circumstances. Because it's got the move Rest, which is Psychic, it will just spam that, giving us ample chance to make sure we can set up all the Meditates we need, and then sweep through the entire team. That was incredibly easy, and it's not very often that we beat Lorelei at a low level with taking no damage. So I'm happy with that. That brings us on to Bruno, and here we are proving why we are the best fighting type trainer in the region. I mean, for one, we don't use dirty rock types. We use our fists and we use our feet to settle any dispute. He's got nothing that can stand up to us, and even though he's chipping away, we are still in the driver's seat in this fight. Next Onix comes out, it goes down to a jump kick, and then finally Machamp comes out and goes down to a body slam. Hitmonlee is shredding the Elite Four. That is until we met Agatha. Now, as I was talking about with Lavender Tower, Ghost type Pokemon can't be hit by fighting type moves, but it can be hit by Seismic Toss. This is the only move we have to work with to get through her 3 Ghost Pokemon. Her Arbok and her Golbat can be taken down by other means, but yeah, we need to take down a Gengar, a Haunter, and then the final Gengar with just Seismic Toss. I could have gone and learned Mimic to try and learn different moves to take them down quicker, but the only real attacking move they have is Nightshade, which is the exact same as Seismic Toss. So there's no point in me wasting a turn on Mimic when I can just use Seismic Toss. We get into a really bad situation in this fight, and we actually go down to the Arbok of all things. It's been a while since we've lost to that Arbok, but it's still possible. That bite is quite powerful. The third attempt, however, goes completely different. We take down the first Gengar without taking any hits. The Golbat goes down again, and we're on to the third Pokemon without losing any HP. This is where the fight starts to get a bit dicey. One more Nightshade can take us out. We don't want to get hit by any other moves, and we're hoping that this Gengar does not use Nightshade. All of Agatha's moves are very random. It's why, likes of J-Rose, if you've seen his videos, he calls Agatha a lottery, and that's because her move choices are completely random. She doesn't have any AI that really backs up why she makes the move she does. She just uses them randomly. And once we've beaten her, this brings us through to Lance, who we lose straight away to with his Gyarados' Hyper Beam. Great start. Let's try that again. Now, he's going to hit hard with either Hydro Pump or he's going to hit hard with Hyper Beam. Either way, it's not going to help us. But this brings us through to the Dragonairs, who will only spam Agility. It's the same AI as before, and that gives us a chance to set up a bit of badge boost, body slam our way through. The Aerodactyl can tank it and soak in the Dragonite, but it's just not enough. Second try win against Lance. And that brings us to the penultimate fight. Punk, let's see how you do against Hitmonlee. And of course he's going to be starting off with his Pidgeot. That is going to be a hard one to get through, especially now it has Sky Attack. And we need to set up a couple of Meditates to at least take it out in one hit. So taking it out in one hit may not be the thing to do. Best move is probably going to be 2 Body Slams to take it down. So we set up our first Meditate, we set up a second, a third, and then he goes for Sky Attack. 3 of them will take it down, and 3 will also help us outspeed that Alakazam. With 3 Pokemon in, and the Executor tanks an attack. The second time, gets a critical hit, and then we're onto the Gyarados. A Dragon Rage hits us, and we've got 1 Pokemon left, just the Charizard. Our boosted meditates, body slams, sweep through, and we become the Pokemon League champion as just a Hitmonlee. Now, that might be the quickest fighting type run we have done on this channel. We're at level 62, and the time was 3 hours and 10 in-game minutes. That's pretty quick. I'll have to check my Excel sheet on whether that actually is the quickest, but yeah, that was very quick, very fun. Definitely recommend it. So, let's choose what is going to be the run for next week. First up, we have Horsey. I've not done anything on this line since the very first time on my channel, and I hated the Seadra run. I absolutely hated it. Second up is Aerodactyl. Oh god, I'm going to go with Horsey because it's going to be the hardest choice here, isn't it? I'm not looking forward to this. Mew is last. Yeah, of course Mew's last. No, we're going to go with Horsey because it will be the hardest challenge to do here. Let's see how that goes next week. If you got to this point in the video, please smash that like and subscribe, guys. I really appreciate it, and it helps the channel grow. And I can bring you more solo runs, you legends. We'll see you next week for the Horsey run. Take care.